Happy Friday, garage fans. You're looking at a completely refreshed factory rear end for a 4th gen F-body Camaro. It now has a Yukon posi locker in it with 390 gears, all new bearings and seals, and new Mosier axles. So yeah, this thing's gonna be a unit. Oh, and also a sweet TA Performance main girdle. They have been torqued down to 5 foot-pounds and the jam nuts to 20. So this thing is very well braced. Super stoked. What I've been up to this morning, however, you can see my bench is sort of clear, except for these shocks. This stuff is done with, which is a little bit of an illusion. I got an allusion to the future, I guess. This is a spare gasket because I've got a few of them. This goes in here eventually. I'm going to try to get these shocks off the table here shortly and get them assembled. But what I've been doing this morning is rigging up my new fuel rail, my fast LSX-R fuel rail, with some of my goodies. Got some fittings on here and plugged into them. So I took the Schrader valve out of the end here, whoop, and then my fuel rail will give me, this will be a pressure sensor that'll go right to my gauge on the dash, which will take the pressure right from the rail. And then, oop, this is actually in the wrong position. I put that in the wrong spot. That is not supposed to be there. But that is one of the nitrous solenoids as well. That it's actually supposed to be this one instead of this one. I rigged that up a little bit wrong. But regardless, I'll switch that. And then here is the bottle, which does fit over under the amplifier there next to the jack under that side cover. So I went on eBay and got a bottle mount ordered that will fit in there. My nitrous cap is on the bottle here. And I also ordered a fitting that will allow me to mount my, this is a pressure gauge. An electronic pressure sensor switch, which at long last will come out. And this will plug into the nitrous bottle to, excuse me, to get the pressure to send that up through some wiring to my gauge cluster, which will go up here. And that'll have nitrous pressure and AFR on one gauge, and then fuel pressure on the other gauge. So this is my fuel pressure sensor right here, so that'll go directly to the gauge. And then my other sensor will go on here, and that'll go to the other gauge, so I can get fuel pressure and nitrous pressure both from the driver's seat. So that's pretty cool as well. What I'm thinking for the rest of my day is get this stuff squared away, and then I'll lift the car back up and get the springs out of the box here. And I think I'm going to bench assemble the Bilsteins here so I can get those off the bench. And then I really would like to get this up and under here today. So I'm going to get those shocks off the bench. And then I've got my suspension arms that are up here. I'll pull those out, clean them in a little bit more, and then grease them to make sure they're ready to go back in. And then I'll put those in, and then I can wheel this underneath, and we'll see how well I can get it to line up. And then we'll put the new springs on top, and hopefully get this thing solidified nice and tidy back up in there, and then I can put the torque arm as well. We'll see if we get that far today. I'm going to give it a good shot. But that is admittedly a decent bit of work, but yeah, we'll see. I'm optimistic. So yeah, I'm going to switch over this nitrous solenoid here just to make sure that I don't screw that up in the future. And then I'll close the hatch, raise her up, put my little sawhorse back on the wall over there, and we will continue with the suspension. So I'm going to try to get the front shocks assembled and ready to put back on the subframe. I'm not going to put them on there yet, but they'll be ready to go. So yeah, that's the plan. I'll come back at you guys in a bit. Woo woo! Hey, people. If I look a little warm, it's because I am. Just listening to some Pat McAfee here, but that's not why I'm sweaty. I'm sweaty. Oh, I gotta plug that light in. Because I've got an axle back under a car. Look at that. Left it on top of my chest, my tool chest. Just wheeled it over here after I got the rear control arms on. And you can see how this lines up here. This spacer goes in here, and then this big bolt goes through, and then this little bracket goes like this. And the e-brake mounts right there. That bolts on there, and the brake line comes through that little hole right there. So that's looking real good. It's not lined up yet. I gotta drop the car down a little further. As you can see, that travel will be pretty extreme. So I'll drop the car down further, put those bolts in, and get these brackets on. And then I'll drop it down until the shock mount holes line up, and then I can get the shock pulled over and installed there. I think I can deflect it enough. I might have to go up in the car and loosen those up a little bit now that I'm seeing that. That's all right. Yeah, so good stuff. That went together well. All my nitrous stuff is inside the car. And I got these together. Look at that. Passenger side and driver's side shocks and coils ready to rock. Got the perches on the bottom and the dust caps / breather covers crimped on there. And these alignments are correct. So this passenger one sits like this. Yeah, so that's pretty sweet. I'm really excited with how those are looking, especially when combined with those. So stuff's going in nicely. I got my brakes over here. My rear brakes, if I have time, I'm going to start getting those back on today. I got my steering rack and my intake manifold here, and there's the clutch. The exhaust cutouts hanging out over there, and then there's all my engine parts. So I'm hoping my cylinder heads will come in next week, and if that's the case, I'll run up to DRM, return the box, and do the motor stuff, and hopefully get a steering bushing. Then this steering rack can go back on there, and then the motor can go back together, and once the motor's back together, we can size out we'll put our clutch on, and then see what shims we need to mount up our new master cylinder on our transmission, which is over here. So that'll mount up right here at the end of that shaft. Those two bolts there. So yeah, stuff's coming together pretty good. Once this is in, I will be very happy. It'll feel like a huge point of progress, so that's really cool. I'll get those on and the brakes on, and then the panhard bar and the rear stabilizer bar, which bolts there. And then before that, I'll get the brake lines run and the wheel speed sensors run and plugged in. And then everything back here should be pretty neat and clean. Actually, you know what? I might hold off on putting the panhard and the stabilizer bar on until I mess up the exhaust, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just mock them up. I don't know. We'll see. That remains to be seen. So, yeah, good stuff though. This is looking really nice. I'm happy with it. So I'm gonna go in and get a little bite to eat and feed the birds. And then when I come back out, I'm gonna bolt that on to get that set. And then I'm either going to start on the brakes and finish this, or I might bust open my new intake and pull the map sensor off the back there and start looking at this, because I'm really excited to bust into this too. So, very good things all around. It's coming together nice. Alright, I've been sliding around long enough. Catch you guys after lunch. See ya. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the garage. It is now evening on Friday. Couple updates. May have already showcased these. front shocks and springs ready to go. Oh, they look great. Super psyched about those. They're ready to be put back in here. As soon as I get a couple other things, those will get slapped back in. My plastic is sitting over there for the inside because, boom, the whole rear is back together. Starting with my new gorgeous bump stops. We got the new Eibach springs, the Bilstein shocks. We got new sway bar end links. I think they're from Energy Suspension. New sway bar bushings in there. Both sides. Looks so good. Got the Mosier axles and my EBC rotors and pads with my stock custom painted calipers. Panhard bar is in. Rear stabilizer or brace or whatever you want to call it is in as well. It literally just links that side to this side and it's not under shock or anything, so I assume it's just a brace, but it bolts to this as well. So heat shield is back in, gas tank is up above it. We got that little heat shield back in for where the exhaust crosses over as well. We got our new trick rear end all installed with our cover. We got our e-brakes hooked back up. Our wheel speed sensors are all hooked up for ABS. Everything is routed nice and happily here. And I also put the jack under to get a little bit of angle, and I got the torque tube hooked up as well. So you can see it's fully torqued up now, but I can yank on it and it moves the rear end. So everything is properly loose there, and when it gets into shape a little bit more, it just if you can see the e-brake cables there, when you pull on this they get more slack in them, so it'll be down about like that. Everything should be nice and happy. These things need to be greased all the way around, but guys, I am super happy with how this has all come together. It looks great. We got front brakes under here, plastic from the interior. We got our steering rack and front subframe. Our engine parts are over here. Front sway bar. Our parts pile is noticeably smaller because all that stuff is up under here. Jenny helped me get these on. It's kind of a four-handed job, but man, it looks so good. Got the little bit longer sway bar end links than before, so it'll brace it nice and solid for no body roll. I think this thing is gonna, I mean, it already handled good before, but I think it's gonna handle like a snake on rails now. I am so excited. And as before, haven't done anything else with it, but there's our engine block ready for honing and cleaning. Crankshaft is still in the corner there under the TV. Behind the trans there. Eventually, before I put the trans in, I'll bring it outside and put it on some cardboard and just hose it down with brake clean real good. But yeah, takeoff parts are sitting here, all happy. Probably put those for sale at some point. But yeah, it is getting neat and clean in here, and I'm loving it. The nitrous stuff is all up in the car. Let's see, can I hop up here easily? Standing on a wheelie thing, that's smart. Yeah, we got our roll control in there. Nitrous stuff back there with our fuel rail. So there's going to be a lot of wiring and switch placement and stuff like that, but that will be not before, I mean, not after I get the engine in, but we got a couple other things to do before that, roll control wise and nitrous wise. We got a couple of things coming, so. But in the meantime, look what we got on the bench now. This is gonna be a lot of fun, boys and girls. We'll switch this thing over, and then we will get into tearing apart our fast, showcase that, and do some porting. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Our cylinder heads should be here sometime next week. And then we'll go to DRM as well. We'll get that done. And then our clutch can go in. Steering rack can go on. That can get assembled. And then the motor can get ready for when it's ready to go back on that frame. So lots of fun stuff. Very productive day, guys. I'm super stoked. It's looking like a car again. Got some things under the rear end and not just gaping hole. So yeah, fun stuff. Don't know how much more I'll do this weekend, but I'll be back at it Monday regardless. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Have a good weekend. Peace.